What's up, y'all? And welcome back to Authentically RGB TV, also known as AAB TV. And we are back for another Abbott Elementary recap. So let's get into it. All right, y'all. So the video it opens up with Janine playing Hangman with her class, and then we move to the teachers' lounge where all of the teachers are talking about the teacher conference that is coming up, where they get to spend a weekend together with teachers all around the district, I believe, and I think it's called Pesca. And so they are all talking about it, and Janine and Jacob are like overly excited as usual. Barb and Mel are just excited to be going so they can relax and have a vacation because they said they've been, teaching for years and they don't really care about nothing that nobody else is talking about. They just want to go, sit by the pool, drink, and relax. And so they're all talking about that, and then in comes Greg and Janine and Jacob. They start booing him because he's not going to the teacher conference, and we find out that he's not going because he made plans to go to the Poconos with Amber to make up for his Valentine's Day gift that he gave her, which we all know was the floral Lego set, and she was not feeling it. And so Janine was just like, boo, whatever, and he was just excited about it, and he had all these plans made. So then we see at the end of the day, Amber, she shows up, and they're ready to go, and he gets to talking about all the plans that he has for them, and she's looking very annoyed, just like she did on Valentine's Day. And she was like, no, I don't want to do any of that. I just want to relax with you. I don't want to do anything. So he was kind of like, this is my thing, to plan and do stuff. And she was just like, she hit him with that, we need to talk line. So we all know what that means. The day goes on, all the teachers are arriving to the conference, and everybody's mingling, everybody's talking, and Barb and Mel make a decision to introduce themselves in the middle of the crowd so that everybody will know like they were there, they were accounted for, and then they went on and did their own thing while Jacob, he went and did his own thing. He was hanging with some teachers from Addington Charter School. Janine was going to every single conference and listening to people speak. And, her and Jacob came together, but they split ways or whatever. And she was excited about tote bags. She was excited about just being there and just soaking in the knowledge or whatever. And then as she's going through the crowd, she sees Greg. And she's surprised to see Greg because, like I just said, he wasn't supposed to be there. And we find out that Amber broke up with him. And so she was just like, well, sorry to hear that. Let's go hang. And she was telling him all the different things that they could do while they were at this conference. And did y'all peep her little comment about like planning is like how you decompress? And I was like, she knows a little bit about him. And I thought that was very cute because she knows that him having all these plans and staying busy, which you said he wanted to do, was something that he likes to do. And so they were hanging out this entire time. And then after that, yeah, we saw Barbara and Mel again just wanting to relax, have a vacation. They're sitting by the pool, they got their drinks going, and while everybody else is just doing them, and they were going to go to this big party that they always have, the Pesca party. And so of course Janine was there and Greg, and they're hanging out, they're drinking at the bar, they're talking, and Jacob decides to go away from the party to go hang with these Addington teachers because one teacher that he was close with at the conference, like they had some of the same similarities, and he was like, oh my gosh, like I'm really feeling y'all. So he decides to step away from the party, go to a hotel room, and hang with them. So as the teachers are mingling at this Pesca party, Barb and Mel decide to show their faces after relaxing by the pool, and they make it seem like they've been enjoying lectures all day. And so they run into a lady at a table, and they find out that she's one of the highest like school supply moguls. And so they're having a conversation with her, and then here comes Mel's sister, Christine, I believe that's her name, and Melissa just gets up and walks off because you all know they don't get along, and they ran into each other when they first got there. and they were just kind of like looking at each other, saying their like back and forth smart aleck comments towards each other, and then they just went their separate ways. So because she was upset that her sister came to the table, Melissa, like I said, she storms off, and then Barbara goes and gets her and like, no, y'all need to end this feud. Like, I am so tired of you and your sister going back and forth with each other. So then, she brings them together, and again, going back and forth with each other, saying all these slick comments and stuff, and then they go toe to toe with clowning another teacher that came up talking smack, and then they kind of had this like little moment where they was like, oh, you're not that bad. And so when all of that was going on, Janine and Greg was still linked up. They were going to different things. They ended up being like taking pictures together. But before that, they ran into Ava, who was having her own little, TED talk with some of the teachers. And Janine was excited to see her. And then she ended up learning that Ava was actually having a conference talking about teachers like her. And she even used her name as one of her examples. So Janine was just like, oh, whatever. So then Ava, she's at this party. She's got the VIP section and wouldn't let Greg and Janine in because they weren't very important people, or like Janine said, very important principals. And so they decide, you know what, forget it, we're going to go get a drink. So as Barb and Melissa are talking, Ava's in the VIP. Here comes Greg and Janine. They are at the bar talking, and Janine is just like listening to him talk about the breakup, and he was just saying how different, which we all know how different him and Amber were, and maybe it was a good thing that they broke up or whatever. And again, they got the drinks flowing and stuff, and so they're like, Janine is like loose, like she's really talking, like just giving him his props, saying, how much he needs somebody to like him for him and like the things that he likes and all of that stuff. And like, how can nobody like you? Like, you're this and you're that. She compliments his shirt, compliments his little mustache. And he's looking at her this whole time like, oh my gosh, I really like this girl. But of course, we all know how awkward and goofy they are together. So then, like I said, they go off and they're taking pictures together. And then Janine realizes that she forgot to go to a certain area in this, whole entire little party thing, this flower room. So they go, both of them, into this flower room. Nobody else is in there. And it is very, very pretty. It's like a small little room filled with flowers. And Janine and Greg both are just like in awe of how beautiful it is. And they're, looking at these backpacks that they made, that they had in there that were full of flowers, and just admiring the beauty of it all. So then Janine goes and she kneels down and she's smelling the flower, and then here comes Greg. He's kneeled down too, and then she's smelling the flower. She's like, hey, you should smell this. Not thinking nothing of it. Here comes Greg, and y'all, they finally kissed. I was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting that. But they did. They finally kissed, and then afterwards they were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. And so I know that everybody was probably screaming and at the screen when they watched it. But because I know that I was like, oh, like it just, I was not expecting that at all. Which I'm kind of glad that they did. So then from then on, they were kind of acting weird towards each other because, one, like Janine said, she's dating his friend Maurice, knows that he's broken up with Amber, but we all know that she likes him too, and he likes her a lot, but he's not really coming out and saying it, even though he was the first one that went in for the kiss. And Janine kissed him right on back, pulled him by his little lanyard or whatever. So it was a little hot and spicy in the flower room, y'all. So don't know what's to come of that. We shall see. So while they're kissing and all that stuff, Jacob, again, he's with the Addington Charter School teachers, and they're playing these games in the hotel room and having these like deep conversations. And he's really liking it because it's like, oh my God, I found my tribe. But then they get into some type of conversation where he realizes like, I really don't mess with y'all like that. And so he's at the end of the day, he just didn't like hanging with them. So we go to the next day and we see Barb and Melissa. They're getting off the elevator. They got hoodies on, sunglasses, of course, the normal hangover attire. and they're not trying to be seen. They're just trying to get out of the conference and go home. We see Greg, he's leaving, and he just looks in the camera and awkwardly runs off. And because Jacob and Janine came together, Janine was in the lobby waiting for Jacob, and she asked where he had been. She hadn't seen him, and then he let her know, I was hanging with the Addington Charter School people, but I really don't mess with them. Like, I thought I liked them, I thought we had things in common, but no, I don't like any of them. And so he asked Janine how her weekend was, and she was like, you know what, let's just talk about that in the car. So I don't know. We don't know if she told him or if she didn't, but she was still pretty awkward with him. So we get to the next day at school, or I guess you could say the next week, however long you think it should be. And they are back at school, and as Melissa's walking through the hallway, here comes her sister, Christine, all in this like what is it called? The like incognito gear or whatever. She don't want to be seen, but she's obvious, and they're the only ones in the hallway at the time. And she lets her know that the head of the charter schools, I believe it's the same person from earlier in the season or last season, that was came to the school and dealt with the charter school, that ended up being one of Barb's students. And she had to like set him straight and stuff. And she was letting her sister Melissa know that he plans to come and take over Abbott Elementary, and that if he does that, everybody's jobs at Abbott are in jeopardy. So Melissa was kind of like shocked by it. And then here comes Janine. She's walking through the hallway. She says what's up to Christine, in her awkward little way. And then she runs into Greg. And, they haven't really talked about this kiss. And of course, how they are with each other is so awkward, but so cute at the same time. So they're like, you know what? Let's just put it behind us. Let's just forget it. And he was like, yeah, let's forget it. You can kind of tell, like, he didn't really want to. Like, he really wanted to probably see how she felt about it, or see where they can go from there, because, he's freshly broken up with Amber. Even though, like I said before, she talks to his friend Maurice, Greg was kind of like taken aback by her just wanting to let it go and forget about it and act like it never happened. And Janine was really trying to convince herself that she wanted to do the same thing. And then, y'all, pretty much that was the video. I know that, that was the end of the episode. The teachers were in the teachers lounge, and Ava comes in talking about she got some tea on a male teacher that had hooked up with somebody, and all of a sudden we see Greg's eyes get so big, and him and Janine looking at each other like, oh my gosh, no, like how did she know? But it comes out that it was Jacob who this rumor was about, and Jacob was like, yo, I'm gay. Like, she was like, yeah, whatever. And what it was, it ended up being a teacher from Addington hooking up with a hotel clerk, not Jacob. So I thought that was pretty funny, because he was just like, Ava, it wasn't me. Have you forgot that I was gay? Like, what the heck is going on with you? So yeah, that was the episode, y'all. As usual, as I say all the time, it goes by so fast. But I really, really, really enjoyed it. Like I said, I was not expecting that kiss, but I'm so glad that it happened, and I just want to know what's gonna happen next, y'all. But if I miss anything, as always, let me know in the comments. Let me know how you felt about the video, and remember to tell a friend about Authentically RGB TV. And I will see y'all later for another Abbott Elementary recap. Peace.